was it 29? Okay. Tell me where to go.
Go ahead. You said you can edit it, remember?
Yeah. Welcome to Larry's Jugs Shop Talk number 29. We're at Gary Tyke's home in Tucson, Arizona. This is our road trip. We are here to talk about Minnesota rubber stamp advertising pieces and how the whiteware goes back. Gary, when was Union Stoneware started?
It was started in September of 1894. And Larry and I, welcome to Larry and Junior to my house in Tucson. But Larry and I had conversations about when some of the first whiteware pieces were made. And we have some examples here that are all advertising pieces. Two are from the Chicago area, one is from Minneapolis, and they are probably all before 1894. One of these pieces came from Kane County, and it came through Dave Kuffel. I've owned it for a number of years, but I got it from Dave Kuffel. And Dave had talked about this Itasca Creamery, and I believe he went down to the Chicago, one of the Chicago downtown libraries, and researched the owner, John Ashelman, and he passed away, I want to say Dave told me in late 93 or early 1894. So it dates our pieces. But all of these pieces, with the exception of the Minnehaha, have the elephant ear and are embossed with the Minnesota oval. The Crocs, I mean, because I'm calling this a water cooler even though it's straight-sided, the Crocs are molded pieces, and they're both bottom sign Minnesota Stoneware Company. The Magnesia Deep Rock water cooler is a hand-thrown piece, and it is not bottom signed. But in some of these, when Larry and I have been looking at these, the colors are what pop out. You can see how creamy the colors are in some of these earlier whiteware pieces. And whiteware went into full-fledged production in 1897, but there was a period of time, for lack of a better term, we'll call it the transition period, where some of these whiteware pieces were being experimented with before they went into full production. And kind of stepping into another field, when Union was formed in 1894 as the marketing company for the three stoneware companies, North Star Stoneware never produced whiteware, and they weren't in a position to produce whiteware, and went out of business in 1896.
One of the things that's interesting here, how many of these do you know of, Gary?
These are the only pieces that I know of with Minnesota stamps with advertising.
What's unique about that is we were and have identified 5 different stamps that Minnesota used on different items. The most common one is the one that's got the little birch leaves on 2 gallons that says Minnesota. Then there's the script one. Then there's this one. And then there's a Minnesota MINNSW. It's on the bottom of jugs and things. There is another birch leaf one that's a Minnesota USA, which we think was done later. What's interesting though is Minnesota was the only company at this period that did a rubber stamp. Red Wing in 1894, in their catalog, it was all salt glaze. So Red Wing never had a rubber stamp. North Star didn't because it was all salt glaze. So what's interesting, we know that in the 1880s, Minnesota was experimenting with whiteware. And it was 1896 that they converted to oil. Yeah.
In 1896.
And that was huge because they were able to get a higher temperature, 2,700 degrees. But the main reason is it took the ashes from the coal and the wood that would have affected the looks of the whiteware. Now these whiteware, Gary talks about a creamier look. More than the creamier look, the things that we've talked about, Gary, is the quality of the rubber stamps on all of these. If you go back to the early Minnesotas, the earlier pieces of rubber stamps, the quality is far better than the newer pieces. Our thinking is the one that
let me object to. And one of the conversations Larry and I have always had is that the Preledger pieces seemed to be the quality control. Maybe they weren't producing the number of pieces, but the stamps and how they were applied, all the labels seemed to just be so much more crisp on earlier advertising pieces. Some of the middle stamp pieces from Millbank, South Dakota, I've had 5 or 6 of them, and they were always just really crisp labels.
And my thinking always was that the person that did the hand-drawn decorating is the one that did the rubber stamps at this period. And that person was a very strong professional person. So you've got rubber stamps, you've got elephant ears, you've got 5 different rubber stamps that Minnesota used. We know in the 1880s they were making whiteware. What they did to make it is they put them inside a crock, just like they did with the brownware, Albany ware. It was no different. They were able to make these pieces prior to switching over to oil by putting them inside the crocks. These are one of a kind. They're incredibly gorgeous, beautiful, rare, exciting. But what's really exciting about it is the quality of the glazes, the quality of the stamps, and the overall look. If you look at the lid's a little bit newer, and you can see the contrast between the whiter lid and the cream. So, Gary, do you have anything to share?
The only other pieces, as I mentioned earlier, I got this from Dave Kuffel. The Magnesia Deep Rock Water Company cooler I acquired from Jim Stiller, and that piece surfaced in 1997, I believe in Chicago, came out of a basement, and Jerry Schleich and Jim Stiller bid that piece on eBay, and Jim was the winner. And the other piece on the end, the Minnehaha Minnesota Stoneware Company oval, I also got from Jim Stiller.
Now the Minnehaha is interesting. I have never seen another one with Minnesota ovals. I probably have 5 or 6 of them with the Union ovals or with no ovals. So they're pretty much all bottom sign Minnesota. But so I would say this was right at the bubble of switching over to Union, because this is the only one we know that is Minnesota. The other ones. Welcome to Shop Talk. Gary, thank you. One of the things that I've had the most fun being in Arizona in the winters is Gary and I have spent a lot of weekends together talking about Red Wing. And welcome to Shop Talk number 29. Thank you. And thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Larry.